this coming as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has dismissed claims that European leaders are joining Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's White House talks to protect him from being bullied by US President Donald Trump. Zelensky will first hold a one-on-one meeting with Trump before being joined by the leaders of Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, NATO Chief Mark Rutte and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The talks follow Trump's meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, which ended without a ceasefire. Let's now listen to what the US Secretary of State has said.
But that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire.
As early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come. We invited them to come. The president invited them to come.
Well, Stephen Nagy, thank you for staying with us. A clear rhetoric there from Marco Rubio. This, of course, in the wake of that meeting between Zelensky, Donald Trump and US Vice President J.D. Vance, amongst others, in the White House, which, of course, ended in controversy, an explosive meeting. Do you think that is the reason that these questions are being posed towards the US, or is it their potential stance on the conflict after that meeting with Vladimir Putin?
Well, I think the media would like to portray this. The reality is that there was no deal to be had without the Europeans at the table and the Ukrainians at the table. Whatever the Russians and the United States decide under Vladimir Putin and President Trump, it's not going to get across the finish line unless the Europeans and the Ukrainians agree. And in that sense, I think Secretary of State Marco Rubio is basically saying the same thing: is that this was planned. It couldn't have happened. There couldn't be any peace negotiations or a movement towards peace unless all the stakeholders are there. And what we've seen over the past several months is that the Trump administration, however you feel about its diplomacy, has boosted and pushed the Europeans to spend up to 5% of GDP on NATO. He's pushed them to cooperate more, to rearm, to take the Ukrainian conflict with Russia seriously, and that this very difficult and long diplomatic dance to bring the Europeans and the Ukrainians and the United States together to push peace on Russia is absolutely necessary.
Yes, and Stephen, very quickly before we move on, of course, a shift from Trump looking towards permanently ending the war rather than a shorter-term ceasefire of maybe 30 days, which was previously suggested. Do you think this could be changed and be flipped around, given how difficult it may be to get compromise from both sides on points that both countries are then happy with?
I think it's very, very unlikely. Vladimir Putin's Russia and all his elites see only one way forward, and that is dominating the Ukraine and destroying Ukrainian identity and making Ukraine into a buffer state between the EU and Russia.
Yes, Stephen, we have the pleasure of staying on with you once again as we move away from the Russia-Ukraine